Welcome to the Coach and Crew Show. Get ready to take things to the next level. And now, the host of the Coach and Crew Show, the coach, Charlie Krause.
Welcome back, my friends. It's Coach and Crew Show here. It's Super Bowl week. Phil and I have a very full show to get to you. A lot on the table. Super Bowl coming up. We'll talk more about also probably our favorite side, the gambling side or wagering enthusing side, shall we say. Senior Bowl was this past weekend. We'll go over that a little bit. And there's some big time news coming out of the WWE world or drama over the past 72 hours as well. So we're going to hope to get everything in a timely basis. As always, feel welcome to submit your comments to the show. We'll get to them as we get to them, and we can make this as interactive as possible. And please use that chat section, and we can get this thing going as interactive as possible. As mentioned earlier, Super Bowl 58 is now here. Tomorrow, I believe, is Media Day. The All-Star Weekend was this past weekend, and Super Bowl now kicks off on Sunday at 6:30 between a rematch of a couple years ago, the Chiefs and the Niners. All right, Phil, let's start with the game itself. And before we get to the fun side of the Super Bowl, what matchups are you thinking are going to be probably one of the key differences and the key matchups for the Super Bowl?
Which defense is going to hold up? Kansas City defense gets overlooked. And quite frankly, the defense for Kansas City is probably the reason why they're there, besides the NFL cheating. But the Kansas City defense is no joke. And they've got a darn good chance of shutting down San Francisco. So I look at it as a game of, can Kansas City shut down McCaffrey, and can San Francisco shut down Kelsey?
Guys, that might be the perfect analysis. Okay, we're done. 7:04.
See
Thanks
ya.
for watching. I mean, I see that. Honestly, the only thing I would add is which offensive line controls the line of scrimmage. But I think that you could say that about every single game, every single week, every single season. But San Francisco's been the team of the season. Kansas City's been the team of the decade. They finally woke up around Christmas when the Raiders beat them and then said, okay, let's let the real Kansas City show up. I think this game is good. I don't want to get into the Vegas side just yet, but I would definitely take the under on total points because I think both defenses are going to come to show and come to play. And I think it's going to be the defensive side that controls at least the first half. We'll see if the offenses open up in the second half. The other name I want to throw out there, Phil, for you is Pacheco for Kansas City. He seems to have come into his own the past month, 6 weeks. The running back for Kansas City. I don't know what your thoughts are of him.
I like him, but Kansas City throws to set up the run. And San Francisco has a problem stopping the run because they're going after the quarterback the whole time. So Pacheco, I think he's going to have a big game, but truthfully, the running game for Kansas City just doesn't matter. It's something to do when Mahomes gets tired of throwing. All right, he's tired. He's thrown the ball 8 times in a row. He's getting a little winded, so he's going to hand the ball off to take a break. And that's the running game for Kansas City. So it really and truly, it's for Kansas City, it's Kelsey. And if he's going to run roughshod and have 12, 13 catches, San Francisco's in a lot of trouble because Pacheco, he's going to touch the ball probably 14 times. He's going to get 6 or 8 throws and 5 or 6 handoffs, and that's going to be plenty just to keep San Francisco honest a little bit. So,
what do you think Kyle Shanahan has learned since becoming a head
Head
since
chef.
becoming a head coach, taking him to the Super Bowl, and then continuing to get back to the NFC
Or
Championship
how about
game.
this? Having a 28-3 lead late in the second half and blowing it in the Super Bowl. That was the same Kyle Shanahan. And I sure as heck hope that he's learned how to hand the ball off and run the damn football. So Shanahan is an offensive genius. And I'm putting that out there. That's my opinion of him. I think he's the best offensive coach in the NFL, period. End of story. However, he believes his own press clippings. So he's his own weakness there. And to prove that he's a genius, sometimes he blows it. And I just think that they've run into a defense that's probably going to be good enough to shut him down, because that Kansas City defense a week and a half ago, they went up against the NFL MVP quarterback and made him look bad. They went against one of the best running attacks in the NFL, maybe even the number one running attack in the NFL, and took that offensive coordinator completely out of his game and shut that team down, period. End of story. I was really impressed with the KC defense, and that defense against and I'm not a Brock Purdy hater, and I want to ask you this question as soon as I get finished running my mouth here. But Brock Purdy is out of a scale of 1 to 10, he's a 6.5 or 7 on a quarterback scale. All right. So he's no Lamar Jackson. He's no Patrick Mahomes. He's not on that scale. So if Kansas City can do that to a Lamar Jackson, I think they can do it to, just a good quarterback. But why does everybody hate Brock Purdy?
I was about to ask rhetorically.
I think
that's you, and you gave him a 6. I'm going to give him an 8 at minimum, and the only reason I'm giving him an 8. So he started off 6-0, went to the playoffs, won every playoff game, then got hurt.
I'll give Hurts an 8. And who would you take, Purdy or Hurts? I'm taking Jalen Hurts every time.
You
just got to compare the guys out there that I would give an 8 for. All right, Tua Tagovailoa is an 8.
I'd take Purdy over Tua.
I wouldn't. I would take Tua 10 out of 10 times over Purdy. I would take Jalen Hurts 10 out of 10 times over Purdy. Prescott, I think he's an 8, and I would take him over Purdy 10 out of 10 times. A Carr down in New Orleans, I'd give him an 8. I'd give him a 7 or 8, and I would take him over Purdy. But it's not to mean that Purdy doesn't suck. He's a good quarterback. I would take him over a lot of quarterbacks in the league right now. But
I just think you have a small sample size, and all these other quarterbacks you're talking about, you've had a larger sample size.
You know who Purdy? Okay, Purdy is golf.
And I'll tell you another thing.
And I would take, and you can put those two guys together and say, okay, which guy you want, Purdy or golf? And I'd go like, I don't know, just give me one of them. Let's go. They're not bad, but neither one of them are great.
Here's some of the reason why I think people are hating on Purdy, because he's got CMC in his backfield, and he is outshadowed and overcompensated by CMC. And then he's surrounded by weapons. He's got Debo, who is the actual weapon of all weapons. He's a running back / receiver. He's got George Kittle, and he's got Brandon Ayuk as a deep threat. Additionally,
I like Ayuk. He's
he's got CMC. So that's 4 weapons he's surrounded by. He was just given that, and then was told, okay, just don't lose.
All right,
and he's done more. And
it's okay to have weapons. It's okay to have players on your team.
So I don't understand what the hate comes from. He's won at wherever he's gone. Folks, Phil already knows this. I'm saying this for you, not to Phil. He was named in high school the Arizona whatever class state champion and MVP. let's pretend it's class 5. It might be class 6 or class 7 or even class 4. At Iowa State, he did nothing but win. He was named the Fiesta Bowl MVP. And then fast forward, he got drafted as Mr. Irrelevant, but then he's done nothing but win once he came in as a third stringer to San Francisco on towards the tail end of last year with 6 games remaining. And now he's done nothing but win here. He puts up consistent numbers. You look at his passer rating, they're top 5 passer ratings. Completion percentage is top 5. I think people just don't like him because either he plays for San Francisco, which could be a factor, because some people just don't like the 49ers because they're always consistently top 2 or 3 in the NFL as of the past 7 years. It could be because he's got all the weapons around him, or just a small sample size. I think it's a combination, if not of all 3 of those reasons, to why Brock Purdy is not as highly viewed by the average fan as some others. And either Phil is riding in Wonder Woman's invisible jet, or we have lost him, it looks like. So I'm just going to go on without him and figure out where Phil went. We can't do little technical violations. So as we did mention, if you've got comments and questions, please type them in, and Phil Welcome will make them go through. But while Phil is out, here are some of our picks for the Super Bowl itself. The Crew Nation. So I ran a poll on our website, coachandcrewshow.com. I ran a poll on my Twitter account at Coach Crew Show, and I ran a poll on our YouTube page and combined all results. So thank you for those who have voted, but 59% of you have San Francisco winning the Super Bowl. San Francisco is a 2-point favored in that process, so it's supposed to be a close game. Eric has picked Kansas City. West Coast Chris has picked Kansas City. Luke picked San Francisco. Byron picked Kansas City. I'm going to go with San Francisco. I have the confidence scale of a 0.01 on that. I'm good either way. If Kansas City wins, I'm more than happy with that as well. This is one of those Super Bowls. Honestly, I think it's going to be a good matchup. Both are, well, no, neither are good guy teams or bad guy teams. So it's neutral for me, and I'm not going to be whatever. Phil's official submission, and this is his quote, not mine, so you can ridicule Phil. He said the NFL is going to win because Taylor Swift is there, which actually he's more accurate than not, because the ratings and the hype and the media coverage and all that kind of stuff, he's 100% right about that, but we can all ridicule and judge him for that comment. So there's that. I don't know. Y'all submit your picks of who you think's going to win this year's Super Bowl, and we'll discuss that further. But what I have also done, he has returned. We were just saying we thought you were kidnapped in Wonder Woman's invincible jet, so we weren't sure what happened with you.
Real life likes to interrupt us having fun.
Yeah, don't you hate when that stuff gets in your way?
Yeah, it does.
I just went through everybody's picks submitted, and I was making fun of you, but also saying how you were dead on and probably the most accurate pick
and
of the
it's
night.
ruining this Super Bowl for me because, I mean, we all know that I have an addiction for gambling, but this literally, to me, this is WWE. It's scripted. So the NFL, from the very beginning, as soon as Kelsey started dating the most popular person on the planet, of course they're going to win. So it just kind of, and if they win, I mean, when Kansas City wins, Kelsey and her are going to be the face of the NFL until they start playing football again next year in the offseason. I mean, the NFL's one goal is to be at our eyeballs 24/7, 365. And they're going to get it. They found a way to pimp one of their players out to the ruler of the planet on social media, and they've won. They have completely won. It's Mojo World, and you nerds out there in the comic book land knows what I'm talking about with that. Or anybody that saw Thor Ragnarok. There we go.
The theory is extending the calendar, and as Phil said, the NFL has always been great about extending the calendar, and now they have just locked it up. They would be the king and queen of America if we had such a title.
Absolutely. So I mean that's it. So it's kind of ruined it for me.
Well, we'll find out if it's true or not, but
yeah,
we've seen more storylines than this play out. All right, 2 prop bets I have already made. I'm going to share with the viewing audience, and we'll see how Phil feels towards it.
I won't bet on this. If you put money on it, I won't bet on it, so I won't curse it.
I have already placed my bet, so please, one prop bet I took, combined rushing yards of the 2 quarterbacks, 50 yards combined. It pays out a plus 150. I really love this bet. This bet might hit by halftime. It's one of those.
I don't know about that.
It's one of those. I'm so confident. I know I'm gonna. It's like when you're so confident about all your picks that weekend, and you just know what that really truly entails. That's when you have the worst picks of your weekend. But Purdy can run. Purdy will run, not as often, but I really think you get. We're asking for each guy to get 25 yards, the other guy to get 26 yards. I think that can happen.
Yeah, but Patrick doesn't run as much as he used to after he screwed his ankle up about 3 or 4 years ago. Even though he runs around a lot, he's more of a Fran Tarkington running around a lot. He runs around to distribute the ball. He plays quarterback. He's not running around to gain yards downfield. So I don't know. I mean, that's one that you're going to have to rely on Purdy. And if it starts raining, well, no, they're in Vegas. I doubt.
I was going to say, if it's raining, Phil, they're in Vegas, if it's raining men, hallelujah. Okay.
I've been to Vegas a lot. And I've never seen it rain there. They say it does rain there. They do have a wet season.
That is one prop bet. The other prop bet I have is our good friend who we've been talking about is Travis Kelce. He's going to catch 100% of his targeted passes, and it pays out a plus 950.
Ooh, I like that.
This is a bigger stretch, but at the same extent, he was 11 targets in the AFC Championship game, caught all 11 passes. I think he's going to be dialed in and ready to go this Super Bowl. I think he's going to put on a showcase. And if I had a third bet, I don't know what the odds are, but it'd be higher up. It'd be a good payout. He would be my Super Bowl MVP prediction. The obvious choice would be Christian McCaffrey if you're a San Francisco fan.
Well, I told you this is McCaffrey versus Kelce. I mean, that's the game here. The defenses are going to be key to stop these two guys. But San Francisco's defense, they like to play that loose zone behind. And I think Kelce's going to have a monster game, quite frankly. I think he's just going to absolutely destroy it underneath and across the middle. He's just going to go nuts with that crap.
If I'm San Francisco and it's somewhere between 3rd and 4 and 3rd and 7, I'm double teaming Kelce.
I'm double teaming Kelce coming out of the huddle. If he goes out of the game, I'm sacrificing 2 guys to stand on the sideline with him on the other side of the field. I mean, he is the Kansas City offense. So I know where he's at every second of that 60 minutes. I'm having 2 guys on him, period. But I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I'm going to have a cornerback over top, and I'm going to have a linebacker on the line of scrimmage, and I'm going to get physical with him because he's a bully. You can tell when he wanted to beat up a kicker. He's nothing but a bully. And I'm going to put a big guy on him, and I'm going to beat his head in the entire game. And then when he gets by that, because he's good, when he gets by my thug, then I've got a cornerback that can run with him or outrun him, actually.
It's going to be an interesting matchup of how San Francisco chooses to defend him. So here we're saying all these weapons for San Francisco, and then they're loaded. Kansas City does not have the weapons of volume that they had just a couple years ago.
No, they can't afford it because all their money's going to their quarterback.
Exactly. But they still, what weapons they have, those are real weapons.
No, he's great, but his quarterback makes guys look good, and that's the difference. When you have a 10 and a quarterback, the quarterback makes average players good, and they make a good player like Kelsey great.
And if he can just borrow 3 to 5 seconds, Kelsey can find an opening and then catch whatever thing is coming towards him. And golly, some of those catches he made were just not just next level, all pro level.
But you got a quarterback that can put the ball wherever he wants it when he wants it. So even though I give Lamar Jackson the MVP this year because Lamar Jackson was the best quarterback in the league this year, best player in the league. Mahomes is the best quarterback. He has the most skill. He has the most success. He's got everything together. He knows that offense as well as, I hate to say Tom Brady when he used to be in his prime running his offense. Mahomes knows that offense just as well, and he can hit anybody. So you're looking at a real master at work with Mahomes. Kelsey's an excellent tight end, and Mahomes just takes him to the next level. And then he takes a bunch of just guys at wide receiver and makes them pretty good. And, Kansas City didn't do much in offense earlier in the year because these guys dropped passes. Every time you turn around, they were dropping passes. And they finally got to the point where they said, okay, you drop another pass, you're going to be inactive for the game. So when they started doing that and holding guys accountable, suddenly you started finding guys off the bench that were third and fourth teamers that are now their starters at wide receiver, and they're getting production out of them. So that's how it's supposed to work, and it does.
One more topic of the Super Bowl, and it's more off the field topic, and we've talked about it a few times, and then we're going to transition to something else. The rumor mill keeps going on and keep going on and keep going on. If Kansas City wins, this is Andy Reid's retirement song. He'll be 65. He's done everything you can do. If he wants to keep trying to break, Bill Belichick's record, that's a realistic goal. But otherwise, this might be it. Phil, if you're in that position, you're 65 years old. You've done everything you can want to do. If you're going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, if you want to continue going to break the record, then that's fine. But otherwise, would you retire if you were the Andy Reid with a victory here?
All right, look. Retirement is for people that hate their jobs and they're looking for it to end. That's retirement. Andy Reid's an NFL head coach. He's a lifer. They don't hate their jobs. Their life is their job. And when their job is over, so is their life. Andy Reid's going to coach until they carry him off. He loves his job. He loves what he's doing. And right now in the game, he's the best there is at the game. So why quit? I don't think he will. I don't think he has a life outside of what he's doing. That's him. So that's his life. That's what he does. That's who he is. He's an NFL coach. That's who he is. That's what makes him up. So that's his character. He'll go until they carry him out.
Either way, we both like Andy Reid, but this is what the speculation is. It's something to talk about, and because that would reopen the final job slot, make 9 openings.
And being an NFL coach is not like being a college coach either.
No.
So it's a whole, and we've seen a lot of college guys this year start giving it up to go back as position coaches in the NFL this season.
And that's going to be a trend, and we might talk about that as early as next week.
Yeah.
After we do a little Super Bowl recap, but that's a little trend coming. College is going to get themselves in trouble for eventually, but that's a story for next week. What is a story for this week is the Senior Bowl was this past Saturday. If you were one of 7 viewing members on the NFL Network, you watched it. But
I
the
did
bigger
watch it.
stuff.
Who's the other 6?
But the bigger story, as it is every year, is the actual practices. You get a meetings on Monday, you get practices Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you get meeting and film on Friday, and then the game on Saturday if they tell you you're playing or if you don't pull yourself out. So the bigger look-see with all the NFL coaches is the practices itself. From my research and my readings of this, I was not down there. Man, I would have loved to spend the entire week down in Mobile for this thing, as
I
nerdy as it
tried.
is. It was as nerdy as this is. This would be what I would love doing. It sounds like Roman Wilson was the stud in Mobile. He was the most dominant player in practices, and then they told him not to even practice the third day. We've seen enough from you. We got to look at some other people. I don't know where he is overall on the wide receiver board, but they said he was underutilized at Michigan all season. He is the real deal. He was the absolute best person in all of, and that's NFL coaches talking. Maybe sometimes the head coach, maybe sometimes the position coach. That's coaches talking.
We watched Michigan. Michigan didn't even know that the forward pass exists.
So there's Roman Wilson. All right, here's the other stud. Darius Robinson, the defensive end for Missouri. He was voted practice player of the week by the NFL coaching staffs on location. So if you were a coach on location, you got to vote. Darius Robinson. I'm an SEC nerd. I haven't missed a single SEC game in years. I know this. I know about how well Missouri did this past season, and Darius Robinson was a huge reason why. He was a huge factor in their Cotton Bowl victory over Ohio State. So I don't want to say I was not the least bit surprised to hear this.
All right, look. Ohio State started some kid they drug out of the stands at quarterback. That kid was shell-shocked when he got sacked. What did he get sacked? 27 times? So, okay, this guy's a monster, but let's face it. The kid that Ohio State ran out there wasn't exactly ready for prime time. That's a sidebar on that. Let's just give credit where credit is.
All right. Well, regardless.
I'm defending Ohio State, and I despise them.
I was going to say, Phil,
the kid they ran out there was pretty horrible.
Yes, they still won 14-3, and
I don't even know. I can't even remember how he even got close enough for the field goal either.
Well, remember they got that one long pass in the very first play of the third quarter, and that was about it.
Yeah, that was it.
Speaking of Ohio State, all right, if you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, pay close attention. Michael Hall, Ohio State, and this guy's a stud. All right. So everything that Phil was just saying was happening on the defensive side for Missouri. This was happening on the opposite side for Ohio State in that same Cotton Bowl. And reports are saying wherever Michael Hall was, Mike Tomlin was on those practice fields. So don't be shocked if Pittsburgh drafts Michael Hall. And I was thinking he was going to be top first rounder, but now the Pittsburgh wants him. I was like, I don't know if he can slide to the second round because I think Pittsburgh needs offense in the first round. But what do I know? I'm not a Steelers fan. I'm not going to speculate what the Steelers are doing just yet. But reports are reports, and they did say wherever Michael Hall was, Mike Tomlin was right there coaching him up. So that's, at minimum, interesting to know. And then everybody knows his dad. His dad's name is Jerry. Brendan Rice showed up on one practice and before he made a household name for himself. And so I think these NFL scouts really liked Brendan Rice from USC. And the reality is, if you live east of the Mississippi, you probably don't watch many Pac-12 games. So
that's crap. You know I do.
Well, I said
Pac-12 midnights, man. Yeah. Getting in from the game, turn on the Pac-12, watch Oregon State, Oregon, Washington. If I have to, I watch USC.
So Brendan Rice made a name for himself. These are all going to be first and second round talents, I'm pretty sure. All right, Phil, you knew I couldn't not go here. Bo Nix. So out of the 6 quarterbacks there on for the weekend or for the week, nobody had a good Tuesday. They said nobody had a good Tuesday. Bo went 11 for 11 on Wednesday, but nothing spectacular. And then on Thursday, he was just simply dominant. So his progression level day to day to day took a huge step up. He played in 2 drives only. He was 4 of 5 passing with a touchdown. He should have been 5 for 5, but Des Walker dropped a long bomb that went right through the trap door. So Bo has, I think, solidified himself as a mid to late first rounder, and somebody's going to get themselves, hopefully, a 10-year quarterback out of him and not
He
10
was
year with a
throwing
clipboard.
look in the game. He was off target, and granted, they get to work with these wide receivers and tight ends 3 games, and he was off. But he showed a lot of good mobility, and he can throw on the run. So I like what I saw out of him. He's got a nice NFL arm, throws a nice ball. He can spin it. But I don't know. There was just something off about him at the game. So
Well, he only got to play in 2 series as well.
And that's true. And it was at the very beginning. But he was off target. Now Trez Walker dropped that pass. It went right between his hands.
Yeah, and we'll talk about him in a minute, but
yeah, okay, well, we'll get to him. But I think, everything that we've seen with these draft prognosticators have Bo Nix going in the middle of the first round.
Some people have him going to Denver. Some people have him in New Orleans. Both Denver and New Orleans are right smack in the middle. So what Phil said seems to be accurate.
I mean, he passes the eye test. Let's put it that way. He passes the eye test. But what I like about the kid, this is what I like about the kid. He went to Mobile, Alabama. He went to all 3 days of practice. He geared up and he played in the game. That's what I liked about the kid. Because I can't say that about anybody else that is being predicted to be drafted in the first round of the NFL draft. So this kid, he says, I'm going to take the most of my opportunity to get in front of some eyeballs and see what I can do and improve myself. That's what I like most about the kid.
And you know what? I was going to make this point in about 2 or 3 weeks from now when we start really going deep into the draft and the combines. I don't understand why people are afraid to have more looks of tape. Are you have that low confidence in your abilities? You don't want to come to the combine and just say, no, just look at what I've done on game film only. Oh, on our pro day at my school, I don't want to perform at that. Just look, are you afraid you're not going to be able to show up? And here's Bo taking the opposite. I'm going to give you as much tape as possible to prove to you that I am going to be your future. Like a big props. And I just don't understand the opposite point of view. Now, if you have a nagging injury, I get it. But for those that are just choosing to sit, they're choosing to sit. All right. One of my buds. I love the defensive tackle position. For those of you who don't know anything about me. And sometimes when you're a big dude, things happen. So the one thing that Tavondre Sweat did not do is he chose not to stand on the scale at the Senior Bowl weigh-in. There's a joke there somewhere, but what he did do is he destroyed the offensive lineman during all the drills. He was reverse pancaking him and just bull rushing him. He was quicker. He's got 10 years in the NFL written all over him. He was the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. I hope he's a first rounder. He's going to really solidify someone's run defense. I really like everything that he has to offer, and I'm glad he showed up for those 3 practices.
Well, we didn't get to watch any of the practices. I watched the game, and those O-linemen in the game for both teams, not very good. The D line for both sides really and truly dominated and destroyed. I mean, there's that kid Fisk from Florida State that had to switch teams. That dude was everywhere. He was making every time he was in the game, he was making a tackle. The defensive ends were making. I mean, they were putting on a show out there. That kid from Mississippi State was just a beast. So the defensive linemen that played in the game on Saturday, Saturday, played in the game on Saturday, they were terrific. I mean, they just dominated. Those running backs, I swear, that kid that I really love from Missouri, that running back.
Oh, yes.
He took a handoff, and there were 3 guys weighing over 300 pounds standing there staring at him, and he's just like, oh, crap. I'm going to try to shake and bake and maybe slip one tackle and get killed. I mean, they're lucky to get back to the line of scrimmage.
I hope he's a day 2 draft pick. I doubt he's going in the first round, and I hope he's a day 2 pick, but I want to root for him so hard. Folks, if you want to go to our website, coachandcrewshow.com, I've ranked up my top 5 Pro Bowl week or Senior Bowl week offensive and defensive players. So go to coachandcrewshow.com, click on NFL, go to the draft page. You can see my top 5. All right. This guy to me just spells future slot receiver. Someone can't cover him at all times. And he's just going to be that player. Like, how do we stop him? And that's Ladd McConkey. Yes, of the McConkey family of that school that name should not be mentioned. But during the practices, no DB lined up closer than 7 yards off the line of scrimmage to cover him, and he still caught every pass thrown his way. I just think he's going to be a future slot receiver. When New England was in its prime with Brady, this just seems like the perfect home for him and that type of coverage. Now you got the new Puka in LA. I mean, there's just so many I think that can – this is just going to transcend to something like that. And Phil, unfortunately, you know this team all too well. I think he was almost underutilized in Georgia.
He got hurt. He didn't play against us because he was hurt. He gets hurt a lot. And
that's good information. I did not know that.
He does. He gets hurt a lot. He played almost the entire season injured. So that's not that's God, I like taking shots at Georgia, but it's really hard for me to say good things about Bulldogs. I just can't do it. This kid can play, and this kid can play at the next level. And I give him credit where he's injured because he is playing an SEC schedule, and those guys are big and they hit hard and they hurt people. And that's just what happens when you play in the SEC. And he did it. And he was injured, and he tried to lace it up as much as he can, and he was always productive when he was out there. So there we go. He can get open on anyone, but he's got to go to the right system and the right team. He's got to go to someone that can get him open, that can scheme him open, and that will get him the ball. If he goes to a Miami or a San Francisco or a Texas, those are good fits for him with the offenses that they run, and or Detroit. Go to a team that knows how to use their receivers and scheme a guy open, or LA Rams, because we already see Puka Nacua doing. So you go to a team like that knows how to scheme up a guy and use a guy properly underneath. He's your man. But he takes shots and he gets hurt. But he's not a big dude. So that's something to be looking at. But he does have skills. He's got hands. He's not slow. So he can play. But based on in college, if he goes out there and takes some of the shots that he took in college, he's not going to last long in the pros. But he has to go to a system that's going to be good for him. Let's say he goes to Pittsburgh. If he's a Steeler, that's a waste, because they don't know how to use wide receivers at all in Pittsburgh. So
ironically, Washington might be a good one as well.
Shoot, we get into Washington. We got a whole segment on that.
Well, that's future, but yeah.
But Washington's going to be running the air raid
with Kingsbury.
Yeah, with the air raid, Kingsbury's going to run the air raid, and that's something for a slot receiver right there. I'm excited about that. And him in Washington, you could pick him up in the second or third round. They probably have other needs in the second round. But if he lasts to the third, if I could grab Ladd McConkey in the third round, I'd take him every day in the third round and put him underneath. And Kingsbury would be excellent scheming something up for him. They just got to have somebody that can get him the ball.
And then real quickly, the corner, the different position player, the different positions voted for the opposite side of their best players. Quinyon Mitchell, the MAC Defensive Player of the Year, was voted as the best cornerback of the Senior Bowl week as well. So keep your eye on him. One of our favorites, Jacob Counting, originally from UTEP. Went to Arizona, studied out in both places, had a great 3 days, but then unfortunately got carted off the field. Nothing major, but sprained his ankle. More than likely, it's officially a lower leg injury. So he had that. But then there's the some that just had nothing shy of horrendous outings. Okay.
Both at practice and in the game.
Yes, but it was the double deuce, okay? Except for Patrick Swayze was not bouncing at this double deuce. All right. Des Walker of North Carolina, the wide receiver, dropped passes on all 3 days, multiple passes on all 3 days.
Does look bad. Look bad.
And then in the game itself, Joe Milton, they've made it clear he's got a special cannon on him, but everybody's always known that for his time.
Yeah, but Saturday's the first time he's ever played quarterback.
And then he couldn't do anything. Out of the three, I think he's got the best chance of making it to the NFL. And then for those of you who watched it, Sam Hartman just looked lost. He just looked lost. Something like 5 of 23 passing and 2 interceptions. Joe Milton also threw an interception.
That was a spectacular catch on Joe Milton's interception.
Oh, my gosh, it was amazing. And he almost took it back to the house.
I know. So that's an amazing play. It was a absolute horrible pass. But the defensive back made such a spectacular play on that one. That's worth mentioning. But yeah, it's a shame too. All three of these players had excellent college careers. And to have one horrendous week just put a bad taste in your mouth is not good. But luckily, they get to go to the Underwear Olympics in a couple months, and they can turn it all around. I mean, Walker could run, a 4.3 40, and everybody will forget about him not having hands. Milton can go out there and just start throwing dimes like he can. I mean, he's got a cannon arm. He can do that, and people will just forget about him being clueless. And Hartman can go out there and actually be accurate, and people will forget about that bad Saturday in South Alabama.
And here's some of the reality, especially for the two quarterbacks. You're having how many different NFL coaches come there telling you how many different things, and you have 3 days to implement every single thing, all these different things. Let's pretend all 32 people said something to them. So it's a lot for them to do. All right, we are getting short on time. We've got about 5 good minutes remaining. And in the world of WWE, Friday night, first off, Bayley cut one hell of a promo.
That was great. She was fantastic.
She turned face. I hope, as my son Shane said, he hopes she brings back the hugger persona.
Bring back the blow-up stuff?
Yeah.
Right.
Just one hell of a promo. The night was going to end with Cody staring down Roman. And then we got all put into the shock of all shocks when he said, but I've taken advice from somebody else who knows you even better. Out comes The Rock. The stare down happens. Now this Thursday at the WrestleMania press conference, apparently these two are going to be officially having the match together. And the internet has absolutely blown up in hatred towards this, turning Cody Rhodes into a martyr, saying Cody Rhodes has been Daniel Bryan, making Rock the bad guy. That's
got to be coming from non-WWE fans.
Well, it's in less than 24 hours, the dislike button on that video of Rock coming out had more dislikes than any other video in WWE YouTube history. What it has done, I'll say this: we're not talking about Vince McMahon and all of his isms and allegations and stuff like that. Now we're now talking about WWE storylines, and what else it's done. I have to quote The Rock. It doesn't matter. Okay, it doesn't matter what we're talking about. WWE. Now we're tuning in, and now they're getting the ratings. So they've done something. This is going to probably be the most viewed match in WWE history now. Whether
but
for
this
the
is what
positive
we've
reasons,
wanted for the last 3 freaking years.
yes.
All right. So why do you hate it? If this is what we all wanted for 3 years, right here, right now, gonna happen, dream match. They've even had it on his series, Young Rock, when they hinted about it. This right here is the penultimate time in WWE history. Here, now, WrestleMania in Philadelphia this year, right? All right, so that's it. It's time. It is time. The match of the century. This is what we wanted to see. It just needs to live up to the hype.
And I think some of the reason why, Phil, and I'm just speculating, is because Cody won the Royal Rumble. If Cody didn't win the Royal Rumble, this would be all just fine and glory. But since Cody won the Royal Rumble and pointed directly to Roman at the Royal Rumble, and then at the press conference after the Royal Rumble said, if you know me and you saw WrestleMania 39, you know I have to finish my story. So I think that's the reason why. But yeah, Phil, everything you said, golly, it feels like forever hyping this Rock Roman situation up.
And I'm sorry, Rock and Roman beats out Cody Rhodes. So Cody Rhodes, love you. You ain't The Rock. You're not Dwayne Johnson. You're Cody Reynolds. You're not Dwayne Johnson. Sorry. This has to be Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. It has to.
As far as storylines go, you assume that Roman's going to retain, but maybe there's some hope that Rock wins. If I'm creating storylines from this, maybe we have a unification match at SummerSlam and Cody can go over Roman there.
Could be. Could be. I mean, there's a lot of ways to go with this. So I just hope WWE doesn't take the lazy way and leave the belt on Roman. There's no way that Roman should carry that belt out of Philadelphia. And it doesn't mean The Rock has to beat him either.
Hey, Damian Priest has got a
bingo.
And you know what, though? Shane was telling me that he was doing some research, and I don't like this. They're going to cash in on Gunther.
Oh, say it ain't so.
It discredits the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Yes, exactly. So we don't want that. We want Money in the Bank, taking it off of Roman. That can happen. Or take it off of Seth Rollins. Either way.
Exactly.
It's got to get the heavyweight championship. That's what Money in the Bank has to come out of, and that's what it has to be used for, or it should be used for. You save the Intercontinental Championship for somebody when you have somebody like Austin Theory or Baron Corbin win it. All right, when the surprise guy like that wins it, when it's a real reach, when it's chosen by Vince McMahon, then you give it the mid card guy, or he can even take the I don't know. He can go challenge the NXT champion or something. But that's if Vince was writing the story. This is not Vince. This is not Vince's WWE. This is the real WWE now. This is wrestling people running this now. And I want to see what Triple H can do. So far, me likes it. Let's do some more. Give me some more Triple H.
And, he's making us tune in, and it starts again in 10 minutes. And, you're just curious what's going to be said next. All right, Phil, any final words and any final thoughts?
Oh, we got to go. The Commanders hired an offensive coordinator. Got a lot to say about their new head coach.
And folks, real quick, we
We'll
are going to put together a special video for all of that stuff. We'll talk briefly about it now, but we're going to put a special video for all that. So make sure you're liking and subscribing to our videos so you can see that full, whether it's 10, 15-minute breakdown. But go ahead,
you can
please.
see Tantor go off. Remember, Tantor's from Atlanta. So I've already had my 5 years of Dan Quinn. My guess is Coach will love Dan Quinn. He's a rah-rah type of guy.
I honestly don't know much about him yet.
You'll love him.
I'm quickly learning. And Phil, the one thing I loved during his press conferences, he said point blank, you sometimes the only way you can learn is through experience, and sometimes that's positive experience and sometimes it's negative experience. And he goes, when you have it through obstacles and the negative experience, now you have to figure out what you can do more and what you can do better and how you can grow from it. That right there said, yes, I did not reach the ultimate goals in Atlanta and it led to my demise, but now I'm aware of it, and let's see if he can grow from it. Let's see if he can do from it. But he acknowledged it because it's hard to succeed as an NFL head coach.
No kidding.
And the fact that he recognized it and he's getting a second opportunity,
well,
it
people
makes
love it.
You think that he's not going to do the same mistakes twice.
No, he'll do them because you are who you are. Okay, you are who you are. Dan Quinn's a player's coach. His players love him. He's not a boot to butt type of guy. He's their buddy. He's a rah-rah guy. He gets them up for the games. And players, like that. They like rah-rah guys. He likes his sayings. I mean, his first one was brotherhood. There was brotherhood t-shirts, #brotherhood, this brotherhood, that brotherhood. The next year he had another saying, all gas, no brakes. I stole that one myself. I use that every now and then, all gas, no brakes. What was the other one? I mean, every year he's got a new saying, and he'll have a saying here in Washington. I guarantee you he'll come out, and there'll be T-shirts, and there'll be all that other crap. Well, eventually, players look around, and they go, we're 0-5. This guy doesn't know what to do except for, rah-rah, get us up for this game, get us going. I mean, Dan Quinn would go out there and pop a ammonia capsule with this team before the game to get up. And that's what they want. He's their buddy. And I don't want my head coach to be that. I want my head coach to out-scheme somebody. And we saw Dan Quinn out-scheme Green Bay Packers 3 weeks ago, didn't we? Oh, wait. They dropped 48 freaking points on him and called in the dogs at the end of the game. All right? Dan Quinn's not a genius. Not even close. He's just a competent guy. But his guys play hard, and he has a concept. He will have fast guys out there on the field on defense. He doesn't do anything with offense. So forget about him offense. We just hired a head coach of defense. Our head coach of offense is Kingsbury. Good. Air raid on defense. But on defense, he's going to have a bunch of fast players. They're going to run to the ball, and they're going to hit somebody, and they're going to play with emotion, and they're going to play hard for him. And quite frankly, that's more than what we got the last 4 years. And I think it's a good hire for that reason, because this guy is hired to be fired. The Washington roster stinks. There is no talent. Well, I don't say no talent, but there's very little talent on this team. This is not a quick turnaround. This is not a turnaround in 2 seasons. You need a caretaker as you clean house, start getting your draft choices up, start getting talent on this team. And it's going to be just a loose fest for the next 2 to 3 years. And he'll be fired. And the next guy's the guy that they got to bring in to win with.
Well, we'll see. I'm going to give him a fair chance. Like I said, I've only seen
his record. He's going to get a chance.
But yes, like you said, Phil, it's going to be a lot of cleaning house the first season and into the second season for sure.
Really and truly, what bothers me is that 100% of all the talking heads in sports talk out of DC and the DMV is trying to convince us that Dan Quinn is a great hire. 100% of them, which means that they're all being manipulated and falling for this crap coming from Harris. And when you see 100% of everybody with the same opinion, they're full of S. Well, hell, I've already cussed this time. So, they're all full of shit. The harder you try to convince me that your opinion's correct and everybody has the same opinion, then you're definitely full of shit. And that's what I look. It's just all big phonies.
All right, folks. Hit the like, hit the follow back, hit the subscribe, and then leave your comments as well, and we'll get back to them throughout the week. But we're here every Monday night from 7 o'clock Eastern. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.
Woohoo!